Today's video is about another way of solving quadratic equation. Are you ready to learn? Let's proceed. My topic for today is about solving quadratic equation where a is greater than 1 by factoring. But before we proceed to that topic, let us have a short review about solving quadratic equation by extracting square root. On this review, I will give you only 10 seconds to answer each equation. Let's proceed. X equals square root of 49. What is the answer? Your 10 seconds start now. So the answer is yes, x equals positive and negative 7. Another. 10 seconds start now. Okay, so the correct answer is yes. Square root of 121 is positive and negative 11. You got it. Next, what about x equals square root of 81? Yes, the correct answer is positive and negative 9. Next, how about this? X squared equals 144. 10 seconds, start now. Okay, by applying extracting square root, you have to square root it both sides. So therefore, the square root of 144 is positive and negative 12. Next, ayan, x squared equals 9. Your 10 seconds start now. Alright, so the answer is x equals positive and negative 3. Okay, correct. Now, let us proceed to our another activity. So this is about multiplying binomials. Okay? Multiplying binomials. So you are asked to this part to find the product of the quantity x minus 5 times the quantity of 2x minus 3. I will give you 10 seconds. If you have your answer, just comment it below or comment down. Alright, so the answer is 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. Do you have the same answer? If not, let us see or let us solve this step by step. So according to your graded lesson, in order for you to get the product of this, you have to apply FOIL method. FOIL. F stands for first term, O, outer term, I is the inner term, and L is the last term. So in this case, let us find first the product of the first term. The first term for the first factor is x, and the first term for the second factor is 2x. So therefore, x times 2x, the answer is positive 2x squared. Before we proceed for the outer term and the inner terms, let us solve first the last term. So the last term is negative 5 for the first factor and negative 3 for the second factor. So what is the product? Negative 5 times negative 3. The answer is positive 15. Now, let us proceed for the outer term and the inner term. Because you have to get the sum of the products of the outer term and the inner term in order for us to know the middle term for our final product here. So, let's start. Let's start the inner term, negative 5 times 2x. The answer is negative 10x. Now, let us proceed to the outer term. X times negative 3, the answer is negative 3x. Then let us get the sum. Negative 10x plus negative 3x, the answer is negative 13x. So that is our middle term. So the final answer is 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. Did you get it? Alright. Sige, let us proceed now to our lesson. What if the process was reversed? The given is 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. How are you going to get the factors? And from that factors, how are you going to get the roots? Yes, and those questions will be answered by our topic for today. Let's start. Solving quadratic equation where a is greater than 1 by factoring. Okay, so let us have these steps first. These are the following steps in order for us to find roots in solving quadratic equation where a is greater than 1. I will discuss it one by one in our example. So let us proceed. Say for example, 2x squared minus 13x equals 15 or negative 15. I will repeat. For our first example, 2x squared minus 13x equals negative 15. First step is to write the equation into standard form. So standard form is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So therefore, we have 2x squared minus 13x. We transpose negative 15 into other side. Again, by transposing, you have to change the sign. So from negative, we change it to positive, then equate to 0. So that is the standard form. And from that form, we will identify now the values for a, b, and c. So a is 2, which is the numerical coefficient of x squared, and b is negative 13, which is the numerical coefficient of x, and c is 15. Now, let us proceed to step 2. Okay? So we know already the values for a, b, and c after changing the equation into standard form. Factor completely. In order for us to factor it completely, let us apply this method, cross factorization. So what is cross factorization? As you can see, we have 4 regions here. On the upper part is the product of a and c, and the lower part is the sum, which is b, and the left side and the right side are the factors of the product. Okay, in this case, you have to find the factors of the product, which is the sum is b. So let us proceed. So according to the formula, to get the product, you have to multiply a and c. Since the value of a is 2 and the value of c is 15, so 2 times 15, the answer is 30. You got it. Now, for the sum, which is the value of b, so what is the value of b? That is negative 13. Yes. Now, let us proceed to the factors of the product. Let us have here a listing method in order for us to know what are the correct factors that we are looking for. Now, let's start. Since the product is positive and the sum is negative, so therefore, we will use only 2 negative integers. Why? Because if you're going to multiply the same negative integers, say negative times negative, the answer is always positive. And if you're going to get the sum of negative integer and a negative integer, the answer is still negative integer. Okay, let's start. So let's start with negative 1 times negative 30. Let's check negative 1 times negative 30. The answer is positive 30. Yes, that is positive 30. What about negative 1 plus negative 30? Is that equal to negative 13? So let's see. Oh, so the answer is negative 31. So, hindi yan ang factors na ating hinahanap. Now, let us proceed. Negative 2. What number will you multiply to negative 2 to get positive 30? Yes, the answer is negative 15. So let's try negative 2 times negative 15. The answer is positive 30. But is that equal to negative 13 as well if you get the sum? Let's check. Negative 2 plus negative 15. The answer is negative 17. So therefore, negative 2 and negative 15 are not the correct factors. Okay? Let us proceed now. Negative 3. What number will you multiply to negative 3 to get positive 30? Yes. The answer is negative 10. Let's check now. Negative 3 times negative 10. The answer is positive 30. What about the sum of negative 3 and negative 10? Is that equal to negative 13? Let us check. Negative 3 plus negative 10. The answer is yes, negative 13. So negative 3 and negative 10 are the correct factors. So we have negative 10 and negative 3. Now, let us proceed to the next step. After getting the factors, let us divide each factor by a. So what's the value of a? Yes, that is positive 2. So we have to divide negative 10 by negative 2 and negative 3 by negative 2. That's it. Then after that, sundan po natin. Okay, the factors are negative 10, negative 3. Then we divide it both by positive 2 because 2 is the value of a. Next, let us get the quotient. Okay, let us get the quotient of negative 2 and negative 10 and 2. I will repeat. Let us get the quotient of negative 10 and 2. So what is the quotient? Yes, that is negative 5. So what about the quotient of negative 3 and 2? If the quotient is not a whole number, we should get the lowest term. So negative 3 over 2, since that fraction is already a lowest term, so we should copy negative 3 over 2. Now, from this, we will get now, or we will know now, the factors. So the first factor that we are looking for, since the first one is negative 5, which is the denominator is 1, so therefore the numerical coefficient of x is also 1. So just simply write x, then copy the factors, or copy the factor, which is negative 5. So that is x minus 5. And from the second factor, negative 3 over 2, since the denominator is 2, we will put 2 as the numerical coefficient of x, then copy the numerator. So the answer is 2x minus 3. Si 2 kasama na ni x, tapos minus 3. Yan. And then, from these factors, we can equate this to 0 and apply solving linear function in order for us to get the value of x. Or simply get the inverse of the factors to find the roots. Since the factors are negative 5 and negative 3 over 2, so therefore, x is inverse of the factor negative 5 is positive 5. And the inverse of the factor negative 3 halves is positive 3 halves. That's it. So the correct roots that we are looking for are 5 and 3 halves. Did you get it? Yes. Okay. Now, let us check our answers. Let us apply the roots if this is correct or not. Let us apply first x as positive 5. By applying substitution, we will change x to 5. So therefore, we have 2 times 5 squared minus 13 times 5. Is that equal to negative 15? So let's check. So 5 squared is 25. So therefore, 2 times 25 minus 13 times 5 is negative 65. I repeat, is that equal to negative 15? Let's check. 2 times 25 is 50. Minus 65, is that equal to negative 15? Yes, negative 15 equals negative 15. So, x as 5 is correct. Now, what about x as 3 halves or 3 over 2? Apply substitution. So, we have 2 times 3 halves squared minus 13 times 3 halves equals negative 15. So therefore, we have 3 halves squared is 9 over 4. So minus 13 times 3 is 39, then copy the denominator over 2. Or copy the denominator, which is 2. Now, let us continue. 2 times 9 equals 18. Copy the denominator 4. Minus 39 over 2. Is that equal to 15? Let's check. The lowest term of 18 over 4 is 9 over 2. So 9 over 2 minus 39 over 2, is that equal to 15? 9 minus 39 is negative 30. Then copy the denominator 2. Is that equal to 15? Negative 30 over 2 is negative 15. So therefore, x as 3 halves is also correct. Alright? Now, let us proceed now to our next example. 6z squared minus 5z equals, 6z squared minus 5z minus 4 equals 0. Since the equation is already in the form of standard or standard form, we can now get the values for a, b, and c. So a is 6, b is negative 5, c is negative 4. Now, let us apply the cross factorization. This one. So let's get the product. A times c, and that is 6 times negative 4. The answer is negative 24. And the sum, which is b, that is negative 5. Now let's get the factors. Since the product is negative and the sum is also negative, so therefore, we are looking for positive, negative factors. I repeat, since the product is negative, so we are looking for positive integer and negative integer. Let's start. Negative 1, positive 24. Negative 1, positive 24. The product is negative 24. But is that equal to negative 5 to get the sum? Wrong. So, another factor. Negative 2 times what number will you multiply to get negative 24? By what number? Yes, that is 12. Negative 2 times 12 is negative 24. But is that also equal to negative 5 if you get the sum? Wrong. Alright. So that is also wrong. Next. What about negative 3? And positive 8. Yes, negative 3 times positive 8 is negative 24. But negative 3 plus 8, is that equal to negative 5? Check natin. Oh, 5 but not negative. So ang gagawin natin, let us change the sign. Instead of negative 3, let's write positive 3. Instead of positive 8, let's write negative 8. Check natin, 3 times negative 8. So the answer is negative 24. What about the sum? 3 minus 8 or 3 plus negative 8. Is the answer negative 5? Yes. Okay. So therefore, the correct factors that we are looking for are positive 3 and negative 8. Then after that, let us divide the factors by a. So 3 over, what is the value of a? 6. 3 over 6 and negative 8 over 6. And let us get the lowest term. 3 over 6. The lowest term is 1 half. What about negative 8 over 6? What is the lowest term? Yes, the lowest term is negative 4 over 3. So these are now the factors in lowest term. 1 half and negative 4 over 3. So what is the first factor now from 1 half? Okay, since the denominator is 2, so therefore the numerical coefficient of x is 2. So that is 2x plus 1. Or simply copy the numerator. And here, the denominator is 3. So therefore, 3x minus 4. Yes, that's it. And if you're going to equate that to 0, you can solve now the value for x. But what I said earlier, we can also use the inverse of the factors. And for that, get the inverse of the factors to find the roots. So since the first factor is 1 half, so x is negative 1 half. And for the second, since negative 4 over 3, so x is 4 over 3. So the correct roots now are negative 1 over 2 and 4 over 3. Now let us check. Let us apply. So checking if z is negative 1 half and z is negative 4 over 3. Let us apply. So this is now the equation. Negative 1 half, or the square of negative 1 half is positive 1/4. So therefore, 6 times 1/4, that is 6 over 4, plus 5 over 2 minus 4, is that equal to 0? Let's check. The lowest term of 6 over 4 is 3 over 2. Then copy 5 over 2 minus 4, is that equal to 0? Check natin. So therefore, 3 plus 5 equals 8. Since we have the same denominator, so simply copy 2. So 8 over 2 minus 4 equals 0. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then 4 minus 4, is that equal to 0? Yes. So for our first root, as negative 1 over 2 is correct. Now, let us proceed to the second root, which is negative 4 over 3. Let's do the same process. Get the square of 4/3, so that is 16 over 9 minus 5 times 4, 20. Then copy the denominator 3 minus 4. Then, let us proceed. 6 times 16, that is 96. Copy the denominator 9 minus 20 over 3 minus 4 equals 0. So what is the lowest term of 96 over 9? Yes, that is 32 over 3 minus 20 over 3 minus 4. Is that equal to 0? Check natin. So 32 minus 20, 12. 12 over 3 minus 4 equals 0. So 12 over 3 is 4. Then 4 minus 4 is equal to 0. So therefore, z as negative 4 over 3 is also correct. Did you get it? So, ganun lang siya kadali. And hopefully, you learn about this topic. And for follow-up, kung may natutunan tayo, I prepared here some equations. Yes, you have to solve the roots of this by factoring. Okay, solve for the roots of the following quadratic equations by factoring. So, that's all for today. Apply the concept in order for you to get the correct roots. Again, this topic is about solving quadratic equation where a is greater than 1 by factoring. That's all, and